Morning, everybody. 8:10 a.m., January 23rd. Welcome to my channel. Now, yesterday, the market gapped up, held the gap, moved higher, then struggled with that 61.33 level that I talked about yesterday. That's that composite high volume node. Market was struggled that, and then we pulled back. Right, pulled back a little bit. That was expected. Now, unfortunately, I had no trades yesterday. If anybody was watching that price action, it was horrendous. So I didn't like um, the top of the profile in the ES. I was like, I'm not loving it. It was still in supply, and I just didn't like that short. I really didn't like it, so I didn't take it. So it's okay. I almost went long in the first pullback. The VWAP happened. I almost did, but then I just didn't like the price action. That would have worked as well. That's okay though. That's trading, right? Um, Earlier we were gapping down. Now we're right at yesterday's lows. So, without further ado, welcome to my channel. My name is Steven Gonzalez. I use market profile and buying profile to find structure in the markets, along with supply and demand, gamma exposure levels, the most traded price of the year, the month, the week, and the previous day. That's my edge. That's how I choose to look at markets, right? And I hope to impart some of that wisdom on you. All right. I was one day didn't I was scared of these things when I saw them, and I was like, man, I don't know what that looks like. Once I dove in, I fell in love. Why I love it, it gives me structure. It gives me structure to look at. It organizes data for me. So that's why I like it. And then secondly, you always see reactions with these levels, right? So anyway, so every day I do this around 8:10 a.m. Hopefully you can join me, subscribe, set an alert. That would mean a lot to me. I give you the lowdown of the markets to recap the news, the economic calendar, leaders and laggards, the story of the markets. Now, of course, you can wait to the end, smash that like button. That would mean a lot to me. Okay. Now, when the market opens, there's new data, right? I have to analyze that. Now, I also give you scenarios, long and short, later on, around 8:30 a.m. on Nasdaq and the ES. I do analysis there, right? Now, if that analysis and the market data that we don't know yet lines up, I do trades. Okay, and if the trade's educational and it makes me put risk on, I will share that. I'll share that on my YouTube shorts. Also, X at Gonzo719. Okay, also on TikTok, Gonzo719 Trader. Right now, I'm trying to build a community as well, a Discord, a Confluence Trading. You can find that link on my homepage in YouTube. All right, please join. I'm trying to build a community. The more people join, the more content I will put out. So please join. Now, a little bit about the community. I give gamma levels every day. I give key levels every day. Right? I give what I see once the market opens. I give my thoughts on what I'm seeing. Okay. And also a little bonus. I have some options trades. If anybody's interested in option spreads and stuff like that, that I have that I put on there as well. All right, so just come join. Grab the link on our YouTube homepage. Let me know if there's any issues. There shouldn't be any more. And join up, right? Come say hi. All right. Now, I think we're ready to get into the futures watch list here. And let's check out what's moving markets. The top of the board. Here we go. VIX up 1.33%. We're above 15.26. 10-year yield is up again, up 0.89 to 4.64 yield. Crude up 0.21. The dollar up 0.16. Dow's up 0.05. ES down 0.16. 30-year bonds being sold down 0.52. Nasdaq's down 0.53. The Russell down 0.63. Gold down 0.89. Ethereum down 1.47. Bitcoin pulling back down 2.54. Silver down 2.56. So a little bit of risk off this morning. Now you just have to think, what did we just do? Gap up, gap up, gap up. Inauguration, and now we hit that 6133 high volume node in the ES, right? Maybe we move sideways, maybe we pull back a little bit. Who knows? We did just move a ton. I think it's over 5%. All right. Moving on to the Max 7 Plus. Let's see who's leading the pack here. GE. GE reported earnings. Must have been good. Okay, must have been good. So they are up 8.46%. I do regret not buying that dip, boy. I think it went down to like 160. Man, I was like, ooh, and then of course, right? That's how trading is. Meta's up 0.48. Berkshire Hathaway got decimated yesterday, up 0.29. Apple is up 0.17. Let's go to laggards here. Microsoft down 0.63. AMD down 1.23. Now, interesting. I don't really know why yet, okay, but semis are weak this morning. I don't know if it's profit taking. Maybe there's something in the news. But AMD down 1.23%, Broadcom down 1.31%, Nvidia down 1.91%, Coinbase down 2.59% with the Bitcoin being lower. Moving on, top sector stocks. Large orders hitting the tape. Large orders hitting the tape. Top sector stocks. United Healthcare up 1.50. That's going to move up healthcare sector. Exxon up 0.39, Chevron up 0.25, Johnson & Johnson up 0.23. Laggards. Uber down 0.16, Procter & Gamble down 0.21, and Snowflake down 0.70. Moving on to the swing trade list, let's look at, here we go. Union Pacific reported earnings. That's an industrial. So they're up 3.90%. Humana is up 2.13. CVS up 1.34. That makes sense. Healthcare, right? And you got United Healthcare up. So something happened in healthcare. GameStop up 1.27, and that's the one percenter. So there's not a lot today. Let's look at laggards. Ooh. EA Sports down 17.56%. Woo. American Airlines down. Is that American Airlines or Alaska Airlines? That might be Alaska. Maybe I could be wrong. It's either Alaska or American, but down 7.29%. ARM down 4.18. Viva down 3.96. Micron down 3.15. Soundhound down 3.17. Mara down 3%. ASML down 2.9. So a lot of crypto slash Bitcoin slash semis, right? You have an airline in there, down, right? Okay, that's what's going on there. Now, moving on. We're moving on to the sectors, right? The guts of the market. Let's just see who's leading here. Industrials, that would be your Union Pacific. That would be your GE. Okay, that's why it's leading. Now, healthcare second. We already said United Healthcare is up 0.26. Energy's up 0.24. Financials up 0.14. Now to the laggards. Communications, your Meta, your Google, right? Your Meta, your Google, and technology down 0.71. That's the largest weighted sector in the market, about almost 33%. Semis down 1.29%. Now they did hit a key resistance level in semiconductors. I believe it was like 262. Kind of broke that level. I don't know if we're just getting a little pullback. This market is pretty overheated, but we have to see. We have to see what happens, okay? Now, moving on to the economic calendar. It's very light, okay? Very light. Volume today's a little better than yesterday, but volume really is drying up a little bit. Let's get over to that economic calendar. We'll talk about some news here. All right. So today we have initial jobless claims at 8:30 a.m., followed by crude inventories at 11 a.m. I'll be paying attention to those crude inventories, okay? And that's about it for economic calendar today. Not much to talk about there. Let's talk about the juice, if there's anything here. Let's see here. If there's anything to note. Not really. Not really. Let's look at some news. All right. That is American Airlines, by the way, that I said before. Let's take a look. American Airlines forecast downbeat 2025 profit on strategy misstep. American Airlines forecast 2025 profit below Wall Street expectations, hurt by uptick in jet fuel prices. GE Aerospace forecast 2025 profit above estimates on robust aftermarket demand. UK to investigate Apple and Google mobile ecosystems. Elevance beats profit estimates on lower than expected medical costs. So that could be what's helping healthcare stuff. Lower than expected medical costs. Okay. Let's see here. Now I know Alaska Air Group reported earnings. I'm just looking. Here's the Electronic Arts. The video game publisher on Wednesday cut its forecast for annual bookings, citing weakness in its established soccer franchise, sparking concerns over a slowdown in the key sports division. The company estimated fiscal 2025 net bookings in the range of 7 billion to 7.1 billion, 7.15 billion, down from its earlier forecast between 7.5 and 7.8. Okay. Now look, Elevance Health. So this is like it's getting like a little more detailed about this. The health insurer beat Wall Street estimates for quarterly profit, partly helped by lower than expected spending on medical care for its members, sending shares of the health insurer up before the bell. Elevance Health expects the medical loss ratio to be 89.1% above or below 50 basis points from 2025. Analysts on. All right, so that's pretty. That's why I would assume Humana is moving out of healthcare CVS. Okay, let's look at anything else here. Just looking for, let's see, Tesla, the electric vehicle maker, will raise price of all of its cars in Canada from February 1st, according to notices on the Canadian website. Let's see here. Johnson & Johnson, let's see here. Leerink Partners cuts target price to 169 from 182. Abbott Labs, Evercore, ICI raises target price to 138 from 136. Procter & Gamble, Piper Sandler cuts target price to 173 from 174. All right. All right. Now let's go to some upgrades, downgrades. Let's see what we have going here. Let's see. Chewy, upgrade it, hold the buy. All right. Downgrades. Let's see. EA, downgrades. EA, we talked about that. Down 17%, right? Viva, that's why that's down. Downgraded from a buy to a sell. Interesting. From Goldman Sachs. Boston Beer, downgraded. Okay. Let's go to price targets. We'll start with raises. Let's see here. SAP target raised, Prudential Financial target raised, Procter & Gamble target raised to 159. Let's see here. IBM target raised 250 to 260. GE Vernova target raised 420 to 487. Decker's Outdoor target raised. DoorDash target raised 172 to 205. Ally Financial target raised. Okay, now we're getting into target lowers. Let's see here. Siri target lowered. Halliburton target lowered. Apple target lowered 286 to 280. Interesting. Apple got a target lowered. All right. That's going to wrap up news, economic calendar. Okay. Let's move on. Let's move on to daily charts. Now, there was something I wanted to show you. Well, I'll show you in a little bit. All right. Let's just go right now. One second here. Let's go to earnings. Now, after the close, Alcoa reported yesterday. Not much before the open. GE, we talked about American Airlines, Alaska Airlines, Union Pacific. We talked about that. Now, today, after the close, Texas Instruments, Intuitive Surgical. What else here? And before the open tomorrow, Verizon, American Express, NextEra Energy. So those are the ones for tomorrow. Just wanted to briefly go over that. Nothing big market movers. I think next week's a bigger week. Okay. Now let's get into daily charts. Okay, let's get into daily charts. Let's check out our friend the SPY. All right, what a move, right? Right down here, you went all the way down to like 575.15, and you are at 606. Boy, right? Just a gap up, a gap up, a gap up, a gap up. It's crazy, right? So yesterday opened here, closed here, right? Pushed all the way up. Like I said, this congestion acted as resistance, right? Congestion acted as resistance. Where are we at now? 605. Let's call it 605.65. 605.65 is at yesterday's lows. Okay, at yesterday's lows. Now, this is a pretty frothy move. We could get a little pullback, maybe fill this gap. We could move sideways, who knows? Okay, let's look at the ES. Here's that trend line. We broke it, and now we're holding the trend, right here in futures over all the moving averages. All right, now let's look at the Qs. And the Qs took out this swing high here and then got resistance here, right here, pulled back, right? So opened here, closed here, okay? And of course, we got the gap up, right? So all you could say is bullish, right? This is last week's range. We're way above that now. So we're above last week's range, right? Let's look at the Qs. I'm sorry, the NASDAQ futures, right? Here's that trend. We're holding over the trend line, okay? Last week's highs. It's all looking good. Like I said, this move up, we could move in a range now, right? We could move in a range now. So we just have to see. All right, that's your daily charts. Now we're going to go to the triple-headed monster here. That's your 10-year yield, your dollar, and your VIX. So the 10-year yield is up today, right? 10-year yield is up today. Let's look at it. You came all the way up to 4.8 yield, dropped off all the way down to 5.45, right? But now you're kind of hitting your head last month's highs. Or actually, is that last month's highs? No. Yes, previous month's highs. And now we're consolidating. All right, so let's just see here. Here's last week's lows. If you break that, you got 4.51 yield. Now, if we start to move back up, that is going to matter in equities. You can't keep raising yields, right, and that affect the market. It's going to happen. It's just a matter of when, right? Now, let's look at that Dixie, the dollar. Moved all the way up to 110.17, dropped off, right? We're underneath last week's range, underneath the 90 MA, underneath the 20, and we're moving sideways, okay? Remember, even a stronger dollar is really not good for equities in the long run. It's really not. Higher commodity, that means higher commodity prices, right? Export, import stuff, that's not good, right? Higher dollar. So that's what's going on there. Now let's look at that VIX fear gauge. And the VIX is moving. Let's look at this big spike up here. We moved sideways, we spiked up, and now we're kind of trending lower. We're right at last week's lows, right below it, right? 15.2 VIX isn't that bad, but not a ton of fear, right? 16 VIX is a 1% expected move, plus or minus an SP 500, so we're by that, right? You noticed yesterday that wasn't, that range was not the best. I'm hoping to get better price action today. I don't know. So let's see. All right, let's move on to the main event. That's your market profile, your volume profile. Let's do that. All right. take a look at this. All right. Now, as far as what I talked about yesterday, okay, what I talked about yesterday was that 6133 high volume composite node, right? Let's just bring it up here. Okay. Remember I talked about it. Look, I'll just overlay it even with the candles. Remember I said this high volume node 6131, 6133 could be a problem for the market. Usually acts as a wall, right? Well, it did yesterday, right? We pulled back, all right? Just pointing that out. We came there and got resistance. Now it's up to the market if you can establish value above it. It didn't, right? But it doesn't mean it can't break it, right? So we're pulling back a little bit. Just wanted to point that out. All right, if that market made a better high here, I would have been more inclined to short it, but I didn't. Okay, let's go over yesterday. Let's recap yesterday. Okay, now yesterday, what did we do? Opened up here, right? That was the only selling really to that happened really in the main part of the session, right? And then we pushed up, right? Pulled back. That was where I thought about possibly getting long, but then I didn't, right? Would have been a good trade. Anyway, and then we pushed up where? Into that 61, 33, 35 area, that high volume node that I talked about, right? And it was a problem for the market, right? And eventually it closed all the way back at the open, basically. Okay? So that was a problem. Expected problem. But again, not everything that I'm going to say is tradable to put risk on. And that's something that you have to learn after a while is, you know, even though my analysis was correct, it really didn't set up for me that great. Okay? You got to learn how to discern from is this a tradable thing or it's happening in front of my face and I really don't see an opportunity that's great risk to reward. All right. Now, why is that a little more right here? You have kind of a incomplete weak high here in the profile. It's usually you want an excess. Usually you want excess. We really don't have beautiful excess in the profile yet. So that's why I was like, we're in supply. We could go a little higher. What I wanted was this to get broken, and then I was going to be interested in the short. And that didn't happen. Okay? That didn't happen. Now I'm just gonna make this bigger. Okay? Now, let's look at some levels together. Oof. Jobless claims came out 8:30. Okay? Some large orders hitting the tape. We might as well check that out real quick just to see how they came. Let's check that out. Let's see. Jobless claims. Consensus was 220. So we beat that number and went over it. So it's a hot number, which might make market happy to maybe have some cuts come in because that's more jobless claims than expected. Who knows? All right? Who really knows? Okay. Now, let's get into some levels here. Okay. Now, this gap right here, it's unfilled. This action does not matter. Gaps don't get filled in overnight sessions. Okay, so this gap is still considered unfilled. Okay, right? So let's look at this. We're right at yesterday's lows. Right? Let's look at the inventory. Right? Here's your overnight. Here's your open for overnight. You only have this much short activity to this much long activity, but we're not at the lows. We're at the mid of the session, right? Now, important to note here, you have a poor high in this profile. And that just means almost like a triple top. Okay, if I spread this out of the overnight session, There's the well, really almost a triple top, but like here, see how you have this? This is just longs getting caught in poor location here. We come back up here, look to break that. Okay. All right. Let's look at the profile. Right. You got a crazy looking profile. Distribution, a distribution. You got a pocket with the gap and another distribution. Right. Most traders price of the week still 60.81. Price is above that. Right. So you just look at that as bullish structure. All right. Price action can do it at once. We got to look at that as bullish structure. Okay. Now let's look at we're right at the lows. All right, so you got yesterday's highs, yesterday's lows, overnight highs, overnight lows, right? We're right at the mid in the overnight. I'm just trying to see. We got kind of a weak high here. Like I said, we have that profile that has a poor high, and then that's the close. So bulls will want to look to break that, right? And see if we can go higher. Okay, bulls want to break that. Bears want to defend that. Okay, what else can we look at? All right, you got a demand zone down here that acted as support when we came down there. Okay, this price, and this is about, what price is this? 61.25 could become the most trader price. This could move up here today, and if we do, it's bullish. Right, establishing value higher. You know. Okay, we're still got supply above us, right? We weren't able to break this supply yesterday. And that 61.33 level gives me some pause. We're also very frothy. Okay. All right. I think we can get right into scenarios here. Let's do that. And we're going to start off with the bull. Okay. So what do I see here? All right. This is a gap. All right. Talked about that gap. Now we have demand here. We already bounced out of it once. Okay. So what could we do? If we move up to that overnight high, maybe we get resistance. What is actually the supply right here? I didn't forgot about that. I'm not sure if that's been broken. Let me see here. Give me 1 sec. I just want to make sure. Ooh, that was broke. I'm going to leave it there because it's an important resistance area. All right, I'm going to leave that there. I'm going to make that call to leave it there because that resistance is still resistance. Okay, so this is what could happen. We are going to, prices here, right? So we just hit that, and that's kind of the most traded price of the day as well, around 61.16, right? If we go fall down into this demand and into the gap, if this demand holds, right, we can come back and try to go back up towards yesterday's highs. But this gap, you got a gap here unfilled, right? So if we find some footing in that gap, that's bullish. That is bullish. Okay. Now we can also push above the overnight high and hold prices and go up as well. Okay, because we're above 60.81, that's bullish. So if the market, let's say, corrected today, break this demand and came all the way down, filled that gap, and there's demand here as well, week to date VWAPs right here, and we started to test this level, 60.81, right, most share price of the week, and we bounced, yeah, we could probably end up somewhere in here. Okay, that's what I'm looking at for the long side. For the short side, all right, we got supply here, right? Even though it was broke a little bit, it's still important resistance there. Okay, so if the market tries to come up here again, fails, lower high, you're going to test and try to fill this gap and break this overnight low here. I have 61.02. And you're going to test the bottom of this demand. Okay, if you break that, and you're going to fill the gap. Gap fill 60.93. Now, if there's demand here as well, you might get a little pop, right? If the market is weak, we're going to test 60.81. Okay, 60.81. If you break that and you start holding and holding and holding and finding acceptance, yeah, we can either hit last week's low, 60.51, or this level right here, which is around 60.36. Okay, that could be a little correction for this market. Okay, that's really what I see, because if we break this overnight high, can we get short in here? Of course. So even if we did this, right, I'm not in love with it, because we're now, this is back to being maybe like bullish. We could fall too as well. I wouldn't think it'd be as deep. Okay, now moving on to the Nasdaq, let's see how structurally different this is. And I talked about that swing high yesterday. I believe that swing high from the past acted as resistance. Look at that swing high real quick. All right, here's a daily. See this swing high right here? That pretty much acted as resistance yesterday right here. Okay, so let's go back. Okay, let's go back to this. We're going to push this down. Okay, so Nasdaq's relatively weaker today. Okay, so we're gapping down slightly in the Nasdaq. Okay, and it's definitely got a different profile to it, to the overnight, right? It's got more of a bearish imbalance to the profile. Most traded prices at the lows. That's usually bearish. Okay, you can see the profile gets thin, and then you got a lot of volume here. Generally, you're going to make lower prices. Okay, so that's one thing I'm noticing. Okay, second thing is you got a distribution here and then little distributions up here, right? And then we hit supply yesterday and sold off. At the end of the day, closed pretty much next to the mid. Okay, next to the mid. All right, so where difference is here. Okay, let's look at the overnight inventory. We opened here with no long activity. It's 100% net short, and you're at the bottom of the range. Okay, you're inside an unfilled gap. This is the unfilled gap. Okay, right now we're inside that gap, but remember, gaps don't fill in overnight sessions. They only fill in RTH sessions, real time trading hours. Okay, so we're gapping slightly. Okay, and we got supply here. Okay, so this becomes a weak high, confluence high, 219.32. The close happens to be the overnight high. So that's where bulls want to break that. Sellers want to defend it, right? Sellers want to defend it. So let's look at some levels here real quick. Okay, we got demand here where we bounced. We bounced right out of demand, right? And you have you're holding these lows in the overnight low. Now remember, semis and tech are weak today. Can that change when the market opens? Of course, right? Of course. The most traded price has not moved higher. It's down here still, 21620. In the ES, it has moved higher. Okay, now don't get me wrong. This high volume node yesterday, around 220.17, is a candidate to move higher, to move this higher, and it's rolling, so it could eventually move higher here because this is a rolling profile. Okay, so this is what I'm looking at. All right, so let's do it here. All right, so let's go right into Nasdaq. Not sure who's with me today. You want to say hi, say hi. Hopefully you're enjoying the analysis, and we'll get into the bull case here. Okay. All right, so we have our demand right here. that has acted as support overnight. Good morning, G-Man. All right, that has acted as support. Like I said, this has a bearish imbalance to the profile. So I do expect to push down. Now, if we hold this 218.41 level around, right, and you start to, and the market's not that weak, get a higher, you make a higher low, we could start working our way back into this supply. If you break this supply and hold this weak high, you could possibly push up here and try to hit yesterday's highs. Okay. Now, another important fact is that we're inside here is the unfilled gap. So we could gap into an unfilled gap, right? Now, if this gap anywhere in here acts as support, right? And you got single prints. If this gap acts as support, that's also bullish because a weak market should fill a gap. Okay. Last line of defense, what I would say would be probably to fill this gap in this week to date VWAP right here, 217.83, and this little demand zone. That's the last line for the bulls. Okay, below that, it gets a little scary. Okay, it gets a little scary. So we'll go switch to the bear side. Now, like I said, I would expect lower prices here, but what would I like to see for a trade, right? I'd like to see us go back into range real quickly into this supply. Get rejected, lower high, come back through overnight price and correct this profile, right? And probably would want to take profits around here, overnight lows. See if you could break this demand. If you break this demand, you're going to try to fill the gap. That gap fill is at 217.85. Okay, that's the gap fill. Your gap fill lines up with the week to day anchored VWAP. Okay, and like I said, if you fill this, your last line of defense is 217.57. Okay, 215.57. If you break this, right, you could go down to last week's lows. That would be 216.80. If you break that, you're saying hello to the most traded price of the week, 216.20. That has not moved yet. That will still be a key level going forward, even if it moves, even if the most traded price moves back up here. If you lose that, boy, you got thin volume in this profile. You can go right back to the most traded price of the year, which is 213.50. Now, that doesn't mean this happens. I'm just going what could happen. There's a lot of froth all the way up here. Okay, I don't know what will happen. I just got to put scenarios. Okay, so that does it for me, folks. That's the game plan for today. I'm hoping we get some nice price action today, not the snail pace that was yesterday. But that's the markets we trade. That's the markets we trade. That just means my risk will be smaller, meaning I'll have to use more contracts with a smaller risk and then just try to get a move out of it, right? Stop loss might be 2, 3 points, 4 points. Trying to get 8 to 10 points possibly in a smaller range, right? Volatility before I was doing 6, 7 point. So you just got to adjust your risk accordingly. All right. Now, hopefully you enjoyed my analysis and smash that like button for me. Okay. Smash the like button for me. Now, of course, if you want to join, please subscribe and set that alert. And join me every day at around 8, 10 a.m. and I'll give you the lowdown the story of the markets, long and short trade scenarios. Just come join me. Listen to your boy. Have a cup of coffee, tea, water, whatever. And let me tell you what's going on in the markets, right? I'll tell you the story, leaders and laggards, all the good stuff. All right, all that good stuff. Now, again, today I gave you long and short trade scenarios in the NASDAQ and ES. If, when the market opens and nobody knows, good morning, Bravo. If nobody knows what the data is going to be, right, on the open, if they line up, I will put risk on. When I put my risk on, I will make, if it's educational trade, I will post that, right, on my YouTube Shorts. Also, my X account, Gonzo719. Also, to TikTok, Gonzo719 Trader. Okay. You'll also find that trade recap in Confluence Trading, my new Discord. So I'm trying to build a community there, right? Bravo. You see Pellegrino. If I go long, he's there. He's in the room. He sees what I say, when I go live. So come join me, right? I have some other things there. I do gamma levels, key levels, my thoughts on the market in the morning, and have some options trades in there. If anybody's interested in options, obviously I'm not a financial advisor. Uh, you know, it's not meant to copy, just to show you power of options as well. So please come join. And how you join that, go to my YouTube page and click on the link for the Discord. Okay? Come on. Let's make this community strong, right? That way you have more interaction with myself. All right? So, with that being said, everybody have a great day. Let's stay green today. And if that means no trade, there's no trade. I've had 2 days with no trades. So, I'm being super picky. All right? Everybody have a great day, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.